Hey there folks, welcome back to my channel and another video on the new Quicken web-based Simplifi or home and business. This video will apply to both of those versions. And in this video I'm going to talk about rules, what they do, what their purpose is, and how to set them up so that Quicken can become more automated for you and you can spend less time, on it and have it do a lot of the busy work for you. So without further ado, let's get on into it. Okay, so let's talk about rules in general. By the way, you can get to your rules down here in settings. If you make some rules, and we'll make one here, and then you want to edit it or delete it, you can come over here and they'll pile up in here. But rules are basically little sets of instructions regarding when a transaction comes through your bank. It comes through as and actually let's look at it. There's a transaction where you spent $20 at Target, right? So a transaction comes through and it has obviously the amount, but it also generally has some identifying bank data, okay? And that bank data isn't always easy to read. Sometimes it's gobbledygook, Target, gobbledygook. Sometimes it's just Target and it's really simple to read. You don't really have control over that, but Quicken uses that information to try to automate things for you. So if, in our area, neck of the woods, our supermarket, Publix. If Publix comes through on the bank data of the transaction, Quicken probably will know Publix is a supermarket, and it will not only bring it in, it'll automatically categorize it for you to groceries. Now, there's a certain amount Quicken will do for you out of the gate on its own, and that's cool, sort of, except that unfortunately Quicken on its own accord gets it wrong a lot. It might take in Publix and put it towards car repair. And I don't know the background of how Quicken's making the choices it's making. I assume it has a database of information on a server somewhere that it refers to, and it does its best on its own to try to identify retailers and places you spend money and categorize it correctly. That's its goal. Now, unfortunately, though, like I said, sometimes it gets it right, sometimes it gets it wrong. If you want to train Quicken to get it more right more often, which you should, you can enter in your own set of instructions for Quicken to follow. And I'm just going to get into illustrating that right here. So this, for instance, this is a deposit from Zillow for a rental property, okay? And if I go over here, and this transaction came through my bank. I originally came through and was uncategorized. I put it to business income for now, even though that doesn't make sense. It should be rental income. And I'm going to make a rule here. I'm going to come over here to these three dots, and I'm going to say create rule. And when I do that, I get this screen and this selection of info. Now, what you see here is the bank data that's come through, and Quicken has broken it up into all the words that were in there. If it were one long string with no spaces, you might have one long string here, but this is what it's given you as an option to work with. So we're saying to Quicken, hey, when a transaction comes through, if it has any of this bank data, I want you to name it to be this, and I want you to categorize it to be this. You can even add a tag, you could add a note, and that'll all start happening in the background automatically. Now, the thing is this, you don't necessarily just want to use all the info because a lot of the info is meaningless, so you want to whittle this down to the most specifically best identifying information possible. Now, in this case, ZG is kind of the identifier of the fact that this is a Zillow rental payment. I know that. Quicken doesn't know that, so I'm telling Quicken that now. But ZG rental, those two words are pretty good, and I think will do the job of identifying this well over time. So I'm going to start getting rid of things I don't need. I don't need your, I don't need DES. Now, rent here, this is a pretty good word that I could use. And the more words I have here, the more likely Quicken will get it right and not confuse some other transaction that happens to have a similar word, in their bank data. So if I only use one word here and it's something random like CO, that could be in a whole bunch of transactions, right? And then all of those things would start to get categorized wrong. So I want to make sure this is identifying things as well as possible. I don't need ID. I don't need ST. This is gobbledygook, meaningless, Horizon. I don't know what, Horizon Property. Actually, that is the name of the LLC. So that could be identifying. FL price for Florida, but that's very generic. Get rid of that. Get rid of CO. Get rid of ID. This could be information about the bank account, but it could also just be generic account information from Zillow. So we're not going to do that. We're not going to do this. So I've whittled down to this. 1047 is the number of the address. So if I had multiple properties and Zillow was sending in through rent deposits for different properties, I could use this to identify that the rent is for this one particular property. And then otherwise, if another Zillow thing came in and it had a different address, I could use that to say, Quicken, identify this as rent and assign it to this property. So I like this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to get rid of this. I don't need this because I know ZG and rental probably is enough. And then 1047 tells me which address it is. So I'm going to whittle down my instructions to be based on this. Now you can make it say just contains these particular things or is exactly this. I'm going to go contains, and most of the time you're going to do that too, because exact might, a lot of times the gobbledygook can slightly change like to a different number or whatever, so you want to try to find the elements that are going to be consistent and then do a contains most likely. Now I can say I can have this rule apply to just transactions in the account it started from, or all business or all personal accounts. I'm going to keep it to this account where I know this transaction comes in. I'm going to say always categorize it to business income, consulting income. I mean, obviously that's not right. It should be rental income, but this is just a test thing. If it were in, you can choose also like, hey, if it's a business transaction, do here. If it's a personal transaction, you would have that option as well. But this is actually saying for transactions and business accounts, right? Do this, but for transactions with this info in personal accounts, if I'm using multiple accounts, you can have it do this. So you can really tweak it. This I know is a business account. I might just go all business accounts and that's a little bit of a wider net. I could add a tag if I want. I'm not going to add a tag, but if I wanted to tag it as, say, the particular property, yeah, maybe I'll say this is the 1047 property. I'm going to create that tag here. I'm going to say tag it as that because we have our identifier as 1047. You don't have to use tags, but if you do, I'm not going to put a note. I could, though, say rental income if I wanted. But notes are usually kind of, they're not always the same over time, but you could do that. And then you can even include it in a spending plan, or you could say, don't include it in reports. I don't know why you would do that, but it gives you that option. And then I'm going to say continue to review. Now over here, what you can do is if you haven't made a rule, if you're just making a rule, but this kind of transaction has come into your accounts before, and say you had categorized it as something else, you could say apply rule to existing transactions, and that'll go look through all of the downloads from previous to the day you're making the rule and apply it there. You may or may not want to do that depending. I'm going to do that here because I want every transaction to say be tagged now and have this note. When I hit update all existing transactions, I got this. It says it might take some time. We'll see how long it takes. But if I were to go back over to the account that it's looking at, in time, every transaction that's that background information is going to be renamed to ZG, your rental. It should inevitably end up with the tag. It should inevitably end up with the note. As we saw, it takes some time, but oh well. And then, of course, going forward, what's going to happen is every time a transaction that comes through with that information, it's going to apply the rule to that. But the end result would end up looking like this, and it'll populate back through. Now, last note here, if at some point you go, hey, the rule I made, I think I did it wrong, I don't know, I want to go back and edit it, you can go to settings, come back to rules, you can do the 3 dots here, and you can edit. You can obviously also delete a rule as well. If you edit it, it will give you the option to update all previous transactions again, which is a very beneficial feature. So that's rules. So the more rules you have, the more Quicken is going to automatically categorize things as it comes in from the bank and do it correctly. The truth be told, without a rule, you really can't rely on Quicken to get it right, all the time for sure. Maybe it would get it right 50% of the time. Hopefully, if the new rule system works better than in previous, versions of Quicken Classic, I would be really happy, because it would potentially make it so over time with many, many rules, it's going to do everything absolutely correctly, and that will save you a lot of time. A lot of the time in using Quicken is you download transactions and you got to categorize them, and you can't always rely on Quicken to do it right on its own. So you have to take the time to either go do it or correct it, and or both. Once the categorization's done, now you can get your report, basically. So there you go. That's rules for new home and business. I will see you in the next video. Bye.